A number, an effective hit pool means nothing.
First, since there's a lot to cover, I'll start from the basics. So I'll break it down. I'll simplify it to a single instance. So we won't start from Uber Pinnacle because we have LE damage, every specific LE. We have fucking elemental penetration. We have physical damage. We have crit, all of that. Okay, so we're going to start from a tier 16 base white mob with 0 crit chance. Okay, for now, 0 crit chance does flat 1000 damage. Very, very simple. No resistances, no nothing. We simplify it to a physical damage with 0 crit chance. What this means and why it's copying your health currently is because you have 1000 health, and if you got hit 100 times or 1000 times, you have no physical reduction, you have no evasion chance, meaning every single time the outcome will be exactly the same. And in order for the enemy to kill you, it effectively has to deal 1005 damage. Okay, so that's the effective amount of damage, regardless of how many hits, regardless of everything. This is on average if 500 projectiles or 100 projectiles hit you, doesn't matter. Okay, so if we say a mob hit you with 100 damage, it would still take you 1000 damage to kill you. It would be 11 projectiles or 11 consecutive hits. If it's 2000, doesn't matter, it's one hit. Either way, this is the effective amount of damage that needs to be sent your way in order for you to die. Okay, very simple. Now, this is where stuff gets a little bit complicated, but I'll try to explain it. When you have 25,000 evasion, I'll try to keep it a reasonable number. Let's put it 20,000. So you have 75% chance. This means 1/4 of the time you will get hit, meaning you'll evade 3/4 of the time you'll evade the hit. Now, why does my effective hit pool go up even though I'm not tankier in reality? The reason is, if we imagine a timeline from here to here, and these are all individual timelines. So this was when you got hit somewhere in the past, this was when you got hit somewhere in the past, this was when you got hit somewhere in the past. This is what I mean. We're simulating 100s of or 1000s or whatever you want, hundreds of thousands of hits, doesn't matter. In average, on the average scale of all of these instances, you will sometimes, if you're very lucky, they'll need to send 2010 damage, so double your health, to get you on the second hit. They'll need to send basically 3x your health to get you on the third hit, 4x your health to get you on the fourth hit. Now, this is where another mechanic comes in. This is where you notice the 75% and you say, okay, if I pull out a calculator and I say 0.75, just how you calculate basically what are your chances of individually dodging every single consecutive attack. You can see to dodge 2 in a row, you have a 50% chance. This is statistical. 42%, 30%, and so on. This would be in a completely random game where we have just a random number generator and you have a 75% chance to evade. This is perfect. But in PoE, we have an entropy system. This isn't something that we are guessing. This is something that PoE, GGG themselves have told us and given us the formula for. All of this is just GGG's formulas compacted into one calculator. Okay, so entropy works in a way so you cannot have randomness across an infinite scale in practice. Meaning, if I have a 75% chance in a completely random system, I could technically not get hit 10 times in a row, right? So if I go 0.75 times 0.75, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's technically possible. It would be very rare. In 4% of the chances, I'll evade 10 hits. This isn't the case in PoE. This is why the entropy system exists. So if we take something like this, which is a scale, let's say, this is when you're lucky, and this is when you're not lucky. On this side, this is where you get evaded every single time, okay? This is your lucky part, and this is where you get hit every time, okay? So these are the possible scenarios of evasion. What entropy does is takes your current roll, I'll simplify it since it's a whole formula. I don't want to throw too many numbers or anything. You can Google it yourself. I'll simplify it just so everybody gets it. It takes the current roll. Let's say you rolled this, okay? Just to simplify it, I'll take the 75% chance and I'll mark it here. That means when we throw a die or anything, let's say this is a number 10, when we generate a random number from 0 to 10, you have a 75% chance for it to be in the left side where you are lucky and you get to dodge it and not take the damage. So let's say you roll here. In a normal game, normal system, random system, you would keep it as it is and roll again. In PoE, we cut this part off, meaning entropy removes this part of the roll. Next time you're rolling, let's say this hit at 20. Next time, you are no longer, or this is not 20, this is 2. You're no longer rolling from 0 to 10, you're rolling from 2 to 10, meaning you no longer have the first part of being lucky, let's say. Let's say you get lucky again, you get missed twice, and this is a 4 roll. You are still not getting hit, so 3 projectiles missed you, or 2 projectiles missed you, my bad. You are, in essence, lucky, not by PoE's definition, but by, just random occurrence. Next hit, next projectile that's coming, let's say again the rolls that it misses you, you are now at 6. The next projectile, when it's getting rolled, is, let's say, from 6 to 4, this is a 7.5, so you have a 1.5 on this side, and you have a 2.5 on this side, 37 something percent chance. So now you're looking at a 30-ish percent chance to evade. It is no longer the 75%. Your next evasion is at a 37% chance. Meaning, if you have lucky moments where you don't get hit, you are more likely to get hit on the next ones. So you're constantly rolling towards the other side. Same goes for the other side. So if you have 75% evasion chance, same goes for the other side. So if you have a 75% chance to be missed, and something hits you and rolls a 9, your next chance is way higher than 70. If next one rolls a hit again, you cannot be hit in the next projectile. So let's say you get unlucky, you get hit once, you get unlucky, you get hit twice, you cannot get hit third time, or it's like 0.00001% chance, basically. So it very, very, very quickly pulls from the unlucky to the lucky, or from the lucky to the unlucky side to balance it out. So let's say you're getting hit by 1,000 damage and you go into above and beyond, basically, and it caps out 95%. This number seems deceptive right now because we're saying, okay, your effective hit pool is 20,000. Even though this mob deals 1,000, it seems like you won't die because you have 20,000. 20,000 effective hit pool. So you'll never die, seemingly, but you will. The reason why is because, as I explained on the graph, you will eventually roll to the unlucky side and you'll get hit for 1,000 damage and you'll get 5 health left, right? And if you don't recover it, you can actually roll it twice. So you might get 2 tapped, or you might die on the next consecutive hit, or depending on how many hits are hitting you or how unlucky the roll is. The initial roll, basically. So you have the timeline of all possible hits and the chance, or the roll, whatever you want to call it, how many lucky scenarios compared to how many unlucky scenarios you can have. Okay, this is basically it. Now, if you take armor, to make this simpler, take armor, let's say 20,000 armor, you'll see, regardless of if we're lucky or unlucky, the effective hit pool will be the same, basically, because we're looking at melee currently and 100 damage, which gets 90% mitigated. Armor has the same thing, just 100%. So entropy is basically like useless in that case, because 100% of the time you are getting your whatever 90% fizz mitigation. So you cannot be unlucky. Now, how can you get your evasion to show the same stats? This is where POB has EHP calc unlucky, and you move it to very unlucky. You'll notice that armor EHP doesn't move. So if I switch to very unlucky or back to average, it doesn't matter. It's always the same, because you cannot be unlucky with armor. A melee hit with 0% crit chance will always have the same outcome. With evasion, if I switch this to evasion, basically, and I set it to very unlucky, you'll see a massive difference. Where with average, you have a 4x your life. So if you have 10k life, the effective hit pool will be 40,000. Whereas currently, it might look deceptive because, okay, what is our effective hit pool? 4 times our life. Does that mean we're like insanely tanky? The answer is no. The answer is, if you take the average of all of those, timelines we mentioned, you'll have about 4,000 effective damage on this part, and you'll have 1,000 damage on this part. That's the effective hit pool, right? So when you're unlucky and when you're getting hit, you can only take 1,000 damage or attack you with 4,000 damage in order for you to receive 1,000 damage on one instance. So they'll miss 3 times or however many times. On average, they'll hit you on every 4th. So when you switch it to unlucky, very unlucky, you'll see a much less deceptive number. Now it's still higher than life. If we put it to like 2,000 evasion, you would see no difference. You have like almost a 20% chance to evade and it doesn't move. Because if we just switch which side this sits on, it's basically focusing on this unlucky side. So it's useless. You'll basically always get one shot. So yeah, you can see one effective hit pool. This is a rounding of some massive number, okay? So we're basically focusing on the unlucky side of the attacks. You'll basically die. If we add a massive evasion, so the cut comes on this side, we're looking at the unlucky values, and this thing is peeking into the unlucky side. Your evasion is still high enough so that entropy won't force a unlucky roll. That's why your effective hit pool goes up, even though you're not more tanky. But 25,000 evasion is massive, comparatively, and it's only giving you a 40% or, 60%, 63% increase on your life. Where if you have the armor, something people likely understand more, you'll have a 5x, 5.8x your life. That's why armor feels much better than evasion, because evasion needs to be coupled with other things, but doesn't matter. That's, in essence, what that number represents. Now, you have lightning damage, you have cold damage, you have fire damage, you have skill damage. So these are all their separate own timelines for each of them individually that all have their own number. So it will be your life against your physical mitigation. That's the first, basically defined by your armor. Then you have your life, then how much fire you mitigate, how much cold, how much lightning, how much chaos, okay? That's pretty basic. Then you have the enemy damage types, okay? So you can take a projectile, a melee, a spell, damage over time, projectile spell. Depending on which type it is, it can increase or decrease how likely are you to evade it, okay? So we add more of these, one for spell, one for projectile, one for melee, and these are timelines. Okay, these are all at the same time when each of these are getting used. So this is cold damage, this is lightning damage, this is chaos. They're all getting comprised into one, and they're getting used as average. So you're getting all of them, all of these values, all of them, and then you're getting an average number. So this is the average, which is known as effective hit pool. Okay, so that's why it might seem deceptive. The reason why this number can seem deceptive in most cases when you don't tick the very unlucky side is these timelines can be heavily cut. So you have maybe not on armor, but basically evasion can make hits not happen. So regardless if it's a projectile, spell, melee, lightning, cold, fire, armor, or chaos type, it can make it not happen in a certain timeline. So when you take all of these combined, you take all of them into the average, and then you get one timeline, and this timeline is cut by evasion. Okay? This is why it can seem deceptive. So this is the lucky side, this is the unlucky side. So if you have, this will be like 60% evasion chance. So your essentially your average of all of the damages you can, damage types you can take, your average is getting boosted by the 60%. Now your build can be very, very good in suppressing spell damage. Let's say you literally block all spells and you suppress all spell damage. You literally cannot take spell damage or whatever. And you can take like 900,000, let's say, hypothetically. But everything else you can take 1,000 of. Okay? So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6k from this and 900k from this. You add them together, you get 906k divided by what? 3, 8. So you get 100k effective hit pool. Now 100k is a massive hit pool. It sounds like you're unkillable, when in reality a melee hit is only 1k. You will get one shot by melee. A cold hit is 1k. You will get one shot by cold. You'll get one shot by lightning. You'll get one shot by chaos. You'll get one shot by fire. You'll get one shot by physical, basically. This is why it's important to break every single damage type down and understand why it's so. The reverse can also happen. So if you're, okay, let's take this side off for now. Let's just take spells, projectiles, and melee. Let's say you can take 900,000 damage from a projectile, 900,000 damage from a melee hit, and 1,000 damage from a spell hit. When you take the average, you get 600k. This is when you see an effective hit pool that's lower than your max hit. So your max hit is 900k, but your effective hit pool is 600k because you have a hole in your defense. So effective hit pool directly shows the average of all situations.
Yeah, most people when talking about tying are talking about max hits.
And as an example, somebody in chat sent him a POB where his effective hit pool is 40,000 with his max hit 80k and his elemental 180k. Why this effective hit pool is lower? And if we went through the damage types, so if he takes melee, he's very good. If he takes a projectile, he's very good. If he takes a spell, oops, suddenly he cannot take as much spell damage. So the average effective hit pool across spells, projectiles, and everything is going to be lower than your max hit because you have a hole in your defense. Same for damage over time. you will get melted in a very unlucky scenario. So if you go to projectiles, or if you go to spells, you can only get attacked by 20,000 damage worth of spells in a Guardian Pinnacle fight. If we take it to a tier 16 map, only physical damage dealt by a spell, you can take 30,000 damage. Your defense has a hole. That's why your average under very unlucky is very, very low. He also mentions that it's very easy to get unlimited. So I'm going to take a look at Jungron's build, which you can presumably say he has unlimited. Now, how do you get unlimited? Unlimited is counted over those 1000 scenarios. Now, the reason you get unlimited is you cannot roll under the current value. Now, this is a mathematical problem, but let's say you're getting hit by 10 damage and you have 1000 health, and the damage is once per second. It will take basically 100 seconds for you to die at this speed and this damage. Effective hit pool ignores any recovery over any time. It does not care. This is the effective amount of damage that has to be sent your way in order for you to die in any span of time. It does not care about recovery. Realistically, if you have 100 regen, you will never die here. Never. But they don't calculate that. So if we set this to attack, so he'll be taking 2200 damage of each type, and he'll be taking it every millisecond. The effective hit pool does not move. Is that correct? That is not correct. You can argue this is a problem with effective hit pool, that it should, take the attack speed and the recovery into account. But I like it the way it is. It's more situation based and more average over every single situation type and whatever damage type and bursts and everything. Now, when does it happen is you have a 90% chance to block all of the damage, so 100% mitigation. And when block, you get plus 500 damage, plus 500 life. So in essence, if you're getting hit by 10 damage and you have a 90% chance to recover 500 life, with Entropy, you will basically only get hit like 3 or 4 times before you're forced to block the next one. So every 4th hit will basically give 450 net health based on the damage you take. So you'll have infinite effective hit pool. You didn't break POB, you didn't break the formula. You are mathematically, against this amount of damage, unkillable, regardless of hit count or whatever. Because even if somebody bursts you with 1,000 projectiles, all of the 1,000 projectiles get rolled over the same amount, have the same amount of chance to get blocked. They all roll, they all have Entropy as a part of them, and they all have their own recovery. So you'll still infinite if the damage you defined here is correct. 3,000 life when you block. He could not die to any Guardian Pinnacle, regardless. But you could set the EHP calculation to very unlucky, and it will still show you that in some cases, extremely rare cases, where it compounds so many hits in a row that it doesn't surpass this, because he's getting hit for 2.2k, and he has, I have to set this to average to see the actual numbers, 90%. Technically, it could hit him twice in a row. There is a very unlucky situation that could happen where he gets hit 2 or 3 times in a row. So he could technically die. He could take 20,000 damage in some of the rarest possible cases. And basically, if he gets hit twice, that would be 4,000 damage, and he blocks the third one, he'll only get to recover 3,000. So he'll have 1,000 net negative, and he'll die eventually. That's why effective hit pool isn't infinite. But if he's getting hit by Ubers, and he recovers 30,000 life on block, he cannot die to Ubers. That's why it's infinite. Because you mathematically cannot die, even in the very unlucky scenarios. Now, why does 300 life on block, on average, say infinite?